Toronto's defense created chaos from the opening possession. Scottie Barnes forced a steal that triggered the break, and Brandon Ingram converted twice in the paint as the Raptors raced out to a 4-0 advantage before Chicago could settle, turnovers compounding the early damage on a frustrating opening stretch. More ball security breakdowns kept feeding Toronto's transition attack. Barnes hammered home a fast break slam to complete a 6-0 run before Anfernee Simons' pull-up gave Chicago its first basket, trimming the deficit to 4 after a painful scoreless drought that lasted nearly 3 minutes of game action. A blocked shot and consecutive Chicago turnovers kept the Raptors running. R.J. Barrett threw down a fast break slam that stretched the margin back to 6, and the giveaways continued bleeding possessions as the Bulls' ball handling crumbled under Toronto's relentless defensive intensity from end to end. Collin Murray-Boyles' alley-oop layup extended the margin to 8 and the Raptors' paint total to 10, but Isaac Okoro ignited a Chicago response. His triple and a driving bucket anchored a surge that sliced the deficit to 2 before Ingram answered inside to restore a 4-point lead at the 5:55 mark. Ingram's fadeaway pushed his total to 9 for the quarter, and Nick Richards' cutting slam trimmed the gap to 2, but Sandro Mamukelashvili countered immediately to keep Toronto ahead by 4, as neither side could build separation, the back-and-forth stretch punctuated by a costly backcourt violation. Jakob Poeltl scored inside to widen the cushion to 5, but Gershon Yabusele and Trey Jones responded in succession to pull Chicago within 1, the Bulls chipping away at a Toronto lead that had looked commanding minutes earlier. The final minute turned frantic. Colin Sexton drilled a long triple, and Jalen Smith threw down a fast break slam to knot the score at 23-23, but Emmanuel Quickley's turnaround gave Toronto a 25-23 edge heading into the second quarter. The quarter opened with both teams trading blows. Modest Buzelis tied it. Patrick Williams pushed Chicago ahead. Then Collin Murray-Boyles pulled Toronto even again, as neither side could hold the advantage for more than a single possession. Colin Sexton's triple gave the Bulls a brief cushion, but Scottie Barnes responded twice, his driving layup flipping the lead to Toronto as the Raptors strung together consecutive scores and seized momentum in a tightly contested stretch of play. Barnes kept rolling. His pull-up stretched Toronto's run to 4 possessions without a Chicago answer. Then Brandon Ingram's long ball made it 5 unanswered as the Raptors opened an 8-point advantage with their defense fueling the surge. Emmanuel Quickley and Sandro Mamukelashvili extended the wave, Toronto's lead ballooning to 12 before Anfernee Simons buried a triple to stop the bleeding for Chicago, ending a drought that had seen the Bulls go scoreless for 6 possessions. Jacoby Walters' cutting slam pushed Toronto's paint total to 8 for the quarter. Isaac Okoro trimmed the deficit back to 8 with a long ball. Then Ingram's second triple restored the 11-point cushion, the Raptors pulling away from range. Simons added another triple to keep Chicago within striking distance. Jamal Shedd's floaters stretched the lead back to double digits. Then Williams' layup closed the half at 45-53, Toronto carrying an 8-point advantage into the break. Third quarter narration. Jalen Smith's triple cut the deficit to 5 out of the break, but R.J. Barrett responded immediately. His long ball pushed the margin to double digits before Isaac Okoro's triple trimmed it back to 7, both teams exchanging range shots. Scottie Barnes drove inside to swell the lead to 11 before Anfernee Simons countered with a bucket. Then Emmanuel Quickley's fast break score restored the 10-point cushion, Toronto's transition game exploiting every Chicago miscue in the open floor. Simons buried a triple to trim the gap to 7, but quickly fired back immediately, his jumper pushing his quarter total to 6 before R.J. Barrett's putback extended the lead back to 11, the offensive rebounds giving Toronto extra possessions. Simons tallied again to reach 7 for the quarter. Then Jacoby Walter attacked inside, Toronto's paint damage mounting to 6 before Trey Jones connected from distance to trim the deficit to 8 as Chicago clawed at the margins. Brandon Ingram
Ingram's layup inside extended the paint total to 8, then Walters' long ball capped a run of unanswered Toronto scores, the lead swelling to 14 before Collin Sexton drove inside to halt the run and keep Chicago within distance. Ingram converted again in the paint, his quarter total climbing to 7 and the inside damage reaching 10, but Nick Richards and Isaac Okoro countered with consecutive buckets as Chicago mounted a response that trimmed the gap back to 10. Tre Jones's layup extended Chicago's run, but Ingram's triple pushed his quarter total to 10 and restored the double-digit cushion at 83-73. Collin Sexton's driving bucket providing the only answer as Toronto maintained firm command of the frame. Collin Murray-Boyles finished in the paint, then Ingram's turnaround fadeaway lifted his third quarter total to 12 and built the lead to 12. Jones scored at the buzzer, but Toronto held an 87-78 advantage heading into the fourth.
Toronto maintained control early. Sandro Mamukelashvili's fast break layup kept the margin at 8. Then Rob Dillingham and Isaac Okoro each converted to keep Chicago within striking distance as both benches exchanged baskets in transition. Gershon Yabusele's triple ignited a mini run. His 6 points led the quarter as Chicago pulled within 5, but Emmanuel quickly countered with a turnaround before Dillingham's jumper kept the deficit at 6 in a tightly contested stretch. Chicago's interior attack found traction. Josh Giddey's driving layup trimmed the lead to 4, but Jacoby Walters' transition triple pushed it back to 7 before Patrick Williams converted inside as the paint points mounted. Jamal Sheed's floater extended the lead to 9, but Tre Jones countered with a fast break layup to trim the gap to 5 as the final minutes approached. Anfernee Simons' triple capped a Chicago surge that cut it to 2, but Collin Murray-Boyles and Brandon Ingram delivered on consecutive Toronto possessions to stretch the lead and seal the 110-101 victory, the Raptors closing the door.